welcome to It's the Economy. The government last week extended the import authorization system for laptops, PCs, tablets and servers. Remember that in August 2023, the government first ordered that imports of these items will require licenses. And then they softened the rules to say that importers will just have to get authorization. Now, the system of authorization was to end on September 30th, that's today, but it has gotten extended to December 31. What has been the impact of these controls imposed so far? And what are the likely changes after December 31? I have the right set of experts to speak about this. Ashish Aggarwal of NASSCOM, Kumar Banerjee of ITI Council, the India unit. They represent Apple, Dell, IBM and all the biggies who make these laptops. And Jairam Sampath of Kaynes Technologies, who makes the same things in India. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your patience. Ashish, let me start with you. Was there a problem for any of the laptop computer users in the past 1 year, or was it a smooth availability?
Good morning, Latha. So it has been a year now since this import authorization requirement had come in. And from a IT user industry, just who are really purchasing this for their use, what we have seen is that over the last year, things have pretty much settled down. There was initially an uncertainty about how this process might work out, and it might result in some problems for us. But for the user industry particularly, I think we have had some discussions with them, and the process is pretty much smooth, and we haven't seen any serious problem as long as it is just about some procedure for registration. And it doesn't apply for them directly because a lot of them procure through other people who are the actual importers.
Okay. Many of them are also in, STPI and SEZs, right? The IT companies. So they were anyway excluded?
Yeah, so bulk of our industry is in SEZ and STPI. So there are two kinds of exemptions which are there. One is for the import into these SEZ and STPI. And also from if you are actually taking to the domestic tariff area from this SEZ, then that is also not considered as an import for this authorization. And the second area is also there's a lot of work which happens in our industry which is related to R&D and testing and all of that, where the quantities are small, but it's important. So that is exempted so all of these exemptions have been very useful.
Okay. Let me come to Kumardeep. Kumardeep, you represent the Dells and the Apples. How smooth was the import process, and were the volumes lower because of this, hurdle that you all had to cross?
Thank you, Latha, for having me on the show, and hello to Ashish and my other friend here. First of all, let me begin by thanking the government for extending the current import management system by 3 months. However, what we have been maintaining is that the industry needs more clarity on any new import authorization policy, whether you call it a license, whether you call it a authorization policy. And now what we understand is that it is set to take place from January 2025. Now, coming back to your question about how difficult it was, let me re-emphasize the fact that many of our member companies are now PLI signatories, the production-linked incentive scheme, which means that they are manufacturing in India. However, one must understand that due to the lack of the proper electronic component ecosystem in India, it is almost impossible to manufacture everything in India currently. And there needs to be sufficient timelines so that manufacturers can shift production. We also want to emphasize another point, which is, I specifically take the example of US, where the US government recognizes that companies will continue to source some products from maybe any other geography, perhaps China. And because US does not produce sufficient quantities of all these products, as acknowledged in NTIA's limited waiver of Build America, Buy America waiver requirements for broadband equity access deployment program, or BEAD as it is known as. So those are some of the challenges. You understand that last year we faced a whole lot of lack of clarity as to what is going to happen. And that is the same situation we are right now.
Okay, so your members of ITI Council are not opposed to it in principle, but they only want clarity and timeline. Am I right?
We are opposed to any kind of quota system in principle, because none of this can happen, because it will disallow lack of products and innovative products to the Indian consumers. That is one part of the story. But we also want to work with the government, and since many of our members are now PLI manufacturers as well, we want to work with the government. We want sufficient stakeholder consultation before a new system is put in place, and give us some transition timelines. That's all we are asking.
Fair point. Let me come to Jairam now. Jairam, have you all been good beneficiaries of what looks like a nudge to exactly do what Kumardeep is saying? Nudge the foreign manufacturers to do PLI or tie up with Indian companies. Has that happened?
Latha ji, good morning. Ashish ji and Kumar ji, good morning to you all. See, fundamentally, the idea is to generate capacity and capability within India, and which is very strategic. See, we can have, of course, keep importing for till we lose all our money. So fundamentally, that has helped us. We got some 4 RFPs for. We are into the high performance computing servers and little more complex products. So contrary to what is the perception, actually we can do those things better than high volume products, because Indian ecosystem does have capability, and we are now capitalizing the companies. Some people have gone to markets to raise funds and so on. So we have the latest generation of machines. So I think these low volume and all these high complex products can be very well done in India. And of course, for doing high volume products, you do require to put some more capital, and these companies have to put in more capacities to get it done. And I think PLI's scheme has been very nicely configured. You see, we can never have a perfect solution. So we could we could always say the glass is half full or half empty. I would look at the half empty portion as an opportunity for our company. So I think all of us, all the stakeholders must look at how to strengthen the Indian manufacturing ecosystem, which will help users and it will also help global OEMs also. There's no difference between us and the world. Yeah.
Got it. You are assembling for them. But Jairam, the total amount that GTRI has put out in terms of imports of these and related products is about 10 billion a year. It will take Indian companies quite a bit to get to fill that kind of gap. How much time and how much money will it need?
So, let's do some maths. $10 billion worth of manufacturing can be done with an asset turns of about 6 to 7, about 2 billion of investment. The 28 PLIs, if my memory serves me right, 28 PLIs have been given. So per company, the investment is not very high. So we do require a little bit of margin push. These are not very large numbers when you accumulate all the efforts of all the OEMs and all the other beneficiary companies here. Okay. So it's not that big an ask. It's not one company is being asked to put $2 billion and fill this 10 billion gap. There is an economic involved. Okay, nobody would like to lose profits from their country. And the other thing about policy, consultation, all that, yes, it is true that it has to be done. But the fundamental thing is that time is of essence, right? We have a small window of 4 or 5 before the other guys, wise up to this whole thing. And they may not really cooperate. Other countries may not cooperate for you to gain all the money, right? So we have to do whatever it takes.
Yes, and of course, there will be rival countries offering incentives. Ashish, what's the experience at NASSCOM? Did GCCs or any part of your, membership complain that, we are a GCC, we want to use the global, products in India as well because the systems have to talk to one another? Was there any opposition at all on those lines that this is impeding smooth work?
NASSCOM actually represents a broad spectrum of industry, right? Which includes the hyperscalers, the GCCs, even the laptop manufacturers are with us along with the IT services company. So I think to the earlier point that, uncertainty is a huge negative. And we saw that in the start of this policy in last year, but then the government, took some time, but it settled down into a process which today it is a process which requires you to go through those hoops to just manage your imports. And even this extension came in today, just a few days back, there was an apprehension that, what will actually materialize, because ideally it should have come in, maybe 3-4 weeks earlier at least. So from an uncertainty point of view, it impacts everybody. And also, if we take a step back and look at the big picture, right? So on one hand, as India, we are trying to encourage a lot of data center investments into the country. And a lot of these data centers, the servers they use aren't off-the-shelf servers. Some of them are manufactured by the hyperscalers themselves, or they have IP issues in that. So it's a very small market, but an important market. So from a government and industry point of view, the way we see it is that broadly the incentives are aligned to say that you want to strengthen Indian manufacturing, but you want to do it in a manner that it doesn't disrupt anybody. So similarly, in terms of laptop manufacturers, you already have manufacturing capabilities, but if they have to do something beyond just this process of authorization, then they will need adequate lead time and they will need to do cost-benefit analysis. And ultimately, as user industry, whatever the cost may be, all those costs will get passed on to the user industry.
Absolutely.
So in that sense, we will be impacted. And this is an important thing for us even as user industry. So we are closely watching this space.
Got it.
And I think while the time and all of that, we need to look at, but at least the sense we get is that the government is in no hurry to do anything which should negatively disrupt this entire space, which is actually requiring.
Except that they could be a little more transparent about it, as Kumardeep said. Kumardeep, what is your ask? There is no complaint to manufacturing in India, right? Do you therefore expect that much more of this 10 billion that is getting imported will start getting made in India? What's your best guess?
Absolutely. Because the intent is to manufacture in India, not just for the Indian market, but also export from India, and India becomes a cohesive part of the global supply chain ecosystem. That intent is very, very clear. All we are asking for, as I completely agree what Ashish said, that there should not be any uncertainty in the policy moves. He mentioned, and I re-emphasize that what should have come perhaps a month or 2 months back, because the inventory management is done 3 months in advance, at least a quarter in advance, should not have come last week. That is all we are asking for. Now, there are 3 months. Again, you are giving a piecemeal approach. You're giving us a 3 months timeline that you continue with this. We don't know what is going to happen in January. In the middle, I'm relatively sure that there will be a new policy, or the guidelines would be put in place, which we are hoping that there should be robust stakeholder consultation on this, arrive at a solution and work on a particular timeline. That's all we are asking for.
Yeah, fair point. Just let us know in advance, sir. Well, Jairam, we have lots more questions for you, especially your chip plant, which has created such a buzz, the plant that's coming in Gujarat. But I am out of time. I will request Jairam to stay on. Thank you, Kumar and Ashish, for participating in this conversation. More clarity and earlier, clear the uncertainty as early as possible. That's the ask from the industry. No disruptions otherwise. Wrap up on Bazaar on that slightly optimistic note. The markets are not in the best of optimistic spaces. We will continue our conversation with Kaynes on Chartbusters after a very quick break.